Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick market update. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Today we're looking at something a little different. We're not going to actually take a look at any particular charts other than the DXY. This is the US dollar index, and essentially it shows like the strength of the US dollar, which obviously being like the world reserve currency and everything going on right now, it's a crucial time. So I basically just want to go through and just do a little basic like technical analysis and just sort of like draw out our chart right here. So we're just going to do like a couple of like basic things and just kind of see where it all stacks up and try to get an idea what we can expect to happen here in the future. So basically from the bottom right here, we were forming like this clear descending or this clear ascending trend line. We got the one stab out from underneath it, a fake out sell off, and then we were able to stay back above it one more time, a little fake out spring, and then we'd be able to stay back above it. And now that's exactly where we sold off to right now. So that's a it's a very important area right there. So now look, a lot of people would have taken from here, and then you would take up here and look at your candle closes. And keep in mind this on the monthly, so this is a very long and very significant time frame. So you would expect any moves to happen off of this to be like long lasting and you know, potentially like trending moves in that direction. So now we have these two things right here. We basically broke down from this one after the retest right here, and then that's going to look extremely bearish to anybody who's looking at this blue line that doesn't see the green line the way we have it right there. So that's in a lot of ways like, you know, a false signal or a false flag or a fake out or whatever. So let's look a little bit more like micro right here for a minute, and we're going to see we essentially formed this triangle right here. And when you form a triangle, when you get to the end of the triangle, you're going to break in one direction or the other. This one essentially is like not necessarily like favored in one direction or the other, like, you know, potentially like 50-50 break or whatever. So realistically, the measure move in this case is basically going to be from the bottom to the top of the pattern. So we'll take the measure move break right here, and you'll see we essentially got the measure move breakout to the upside, obviously in this case because we're doing some hindsight TA. So when we got the breakout to the upside, we completed the measure move, and then we consolidated here at the top of the range, got one stab down below it, and then you'll see right here we got a false breakout, a breakout to the top, or a spring in a Wyckoff pattern. Basically it's going to make everyone think, oh, we're going to higher prices, and then all of a sudden you get that massive sell-off. You break through the previous range that was acting as support, you get an attempted retest back up, and then you come back down to the bottom again, and then you know, obviously we found support from there and continued moving to the upside. So how is that relevant in this specific situation is once we put in the top right here and then we came over, you'll see we began forming once again like basically just a non-bias triangle, and you know, symmetrical triangle. After the flagpole, we get the move consolidation inside the range, verified with multiple touch points, a potential breakout of the range. So now what we need to do is take the measure move of this triangle, and we can get a accurate target for the next move after this. And you know, then we can talk about like fundamentals and technicals and which direction we think that move is going to be in. So let's assume this does not break right here, and we continue inside this range for just a little bit longer. I like to always give a little bit of favor to the range itself, because typically you're going to stay inside of a range, you know, continue inside that range until the one time that you don't, when the one time you break through. So that gives favor to the fact that you would continue doing what you've been doing, which is ranging. So we're ranging inside this triangle. We have essentially now you know, identified some key points for a potential breakout, and what we can expect to happen if this triangle does break out right here. But essentially what could happen is we oscillate inside this range a little longer before the breakout, but now here we have the target. So our target to the downside all the way back down here, which is going to correspond with this horizontal support level previously. So that makes a lot of sense that it would potentially do something like that. And then to the upside as well, you'll see we correspond right back here with a previous like resistance flip support level. So that would essentially be like the retest of the top of the range. So, and then now I want to zoom out a little bit more, because now we have this whole pattern here. You know, we basically have identified like some key areas and, you know, potential to what could happen, the likelihood of that happening, etc. So now here we have essentially this channel that we're moving inside of, you know, that we can clearly identify as well. So now which one of these things is going to be the most favorable? So which line has been the most substantial for the most amount of time? The green line goes back the furthest, the purple line goes back the furthest. So that's going to give favor for this break to stay inside of that channel. So now what I would expect to happen is here for us to find a similar situation like that where we find support and then we get a massive move back up, and when we get that move back up, I would expect to find resistance at the top here, a break, retest, and then continuation, and that would keep us inside the channel, which is doing what we've been doing for the longest amount of time. So that's like a micro of this move, but on a monthly going back to, like, you know, basically 2008. So even though it's a micro, it's really not a micro, if that makes sense. So, and now let's look over here and see what the heck was going on back here on like the larger scale. So we have this massive, you know, basically like resistance going right here that we're forming like a triangle coming down to. So is it likely that when we come up here, we're going to break through that resistance? No, I think that's much less likely that we would break through there. That would be like essentially the first time we would break through that range. So in all reality, I think our target right now, our key target is going to be that 110. And that's going to basically represent a strong dollar. And the reason I think that's going to be the case is because, you know, obviously the dollar is, you know, the world reserve currency. And, you know, the most likely thing that's going to happen is the dollar is going to stay in the trend. And the trend is that it's continued to basically get stronger in comparison to other currencies over time. And keep in mind that I'm saying currencies, it's not getting stronger compared to things like gold and silver and, you know, actual hard assets. So, and then I think to the downside, our target would be basically right here in that same spot as the previous like support resistance area. So that's our basic breakdown right now. We can put in a couple of horizontals too. So depending on how you want to look at this, you have a couple like key horizontals. I would say probably either right here, or you could do, you know, potentially, we're just looking for like the most correspondence, the most touch points, like the most, and I guess we could do right there. So that would be our potential, you know, like main support for this index. And now keep in mind, again, the time frame that we're looking at is much longer than typically anybody's going to be looking at. And then for the upside, we basically have our horizontal resistance coming in right around this range right here. And then if we're going to go ahead and put, again, a second one, we're going to want to put it probably somewhere up in this range right there. So yeah, that's going to correspond with the tops and everything. That's going to give us the basic breakdown of the DXY dollar index. And I think this is the most important thing right now, because essentially what this is saying is that the dollar is going, you know, if we get this bounce right here and continue in this range, it's saying the dollar is going to continue to strengthen inside this channel that it's been strengthening in since 2008. Now we can oscillate inside the channel, but we're at the bottom of the range. So if the dollar breaks right here, I would expect essentially, you know, a massive sell-off. I mean, we would immediately come down and probably, I should put like a central. We should immediately come down basically and test this range right here, because that was like the central point of this area. We oscillated below it, broke above it, oscillated above it, and then, you know, potentially could break that below it or get the continuation here. So that's our key targets. That's essentially what I think is going to happen. Now let's break it down, not only to the technicals, but see what's going to actually, like, how would that look on the charts and everything. So if all of a sudden the dollar just massively started selling off right here, how would that look to the stock market? The stock market would look like it's pumping to the moon. Gold would look like it's pumping to the moon. The dollar compared to like all other currencies would be getting extremely weak, so they would all look like they're going way up. The ratio of dollars to other items would be going like down. You're getting less items for your dollars. And that's what essentially that would mean. And now if we break to the upside, which is what I'm actually expecting to happen, it would be the opposite. It means essentially like you would be getting like sell-offs in all these assets. All of the assets, all of the currencies, like other than the dollar, would look like they're showing weakness. So you would see weakness in the stock market, you would see weakness in gold, you'd see weakness in crypto, you'd see weakness in other currencies to the dollar. So you would see the dollar gaining strength, which being, again, the world reserve currency, you would expect that if all currencies are losing strength, that the dollar would lose strength slower, which would mean it's gaining strength compared to the other currencies. And that's because of the high demand for dollars. So no matter how much money the government prints, if we print money in dollars too fast, it devalues our currency. But in relation to all other currencies and assets is what we're looking at. So we're not just looking at the dollar by itself. So yes, if we double the amount of dollars there is, the spending power will go down by 50%, if everything else stays the same. But that's not what's going to happen. Right now, other countries are devaluing their currency. People are losing faith in their currencies, etc. So that's going to essentially, as long as the dollar gets weaker, slower, it's going to look on a chart like a strong dollar. And that's what I'm expecting to happen right now. I'm expecting this monthly close and this weekly close to close at this support line, this key trending support line, and then bounce and get a massive move up over like the next few months. And essentially what that represents is the strength in the dollar. And I think that's what's going to happen. Now, alternatively, if I'm wrong, if we close below this and we start selling off massively, that's basically means that they are printing so much money and there's so little faith in, the government and the currency and, the future of basically America as a dominant power. There's so little faith in it that we're now going to like break that back down these crucial levels. So is that possible? Yes. But is it likely? I don't think so right now. I don't think that that's likely, but that's my honest opinion. And now if we take like the actual technicals out of it and we just look at the fundamentals, I think like honestly the news and the election and all that stuff always looks like crazy and it always looks like the end of the world and everything. And we are at like a crucial time where we're going to see like changes in technology and fossil fuels and all this stuff. And I just don't see the dollar just losing its hold suddenly. I think it's more likely that we would continue to oscillate inside this range right now for another, that can go till, that's February of 2022. So we could potentially move inside this range for another 2 years basically, no problem. So, I think that's the most likely situation to happen at this time, is for us to oscillate inside this range and then potentially get the break a little later down the road. Now, we've taken into account the up possibility, the down possibility, and the oscillation sideways possibility. So that's all three potentials that I see out there. That's the fundamentals, that's the technicals, and this is probably the most important chart right now to look at, because this chart might be telling us exactly what's going to happen in all these other assets. So there you have it, guys. A little something different today. Oh, and I want to do something different too for those that stick around to the end. I want you to put in the comments for me something. I want you to put your favorite influencer that's like finance, crypto, stocks, whatever. And it could be, and no wise guys, I don't want you putting my name down there. Not to flatter myself, but seriously though, I want you to put your favorite channel or influencer's name or whatever down there, related in the field. And I'm curious, and that, not just like technical analysis or fundamental analysis. It could be a news reader, like just whoever you like. Because I'm curious, obviously I see who's popular by like their number of, viewers or subscribers or whatever. But I'm curious, who else is out there that's good? Because I struggle to find, too many great people in this space, to tell you the truth. But I am curious. And then also what I want you to do, sort of like that Fight Club homework assignment, you're my crew, like we're a family together, like we're growing. That's what this is all about. I want you guys to help me grow a little bit. I want each one of you to now go to that same influencer, whoever's name you're writing down there in the comments. I want you to go to their video, their most recent video or whatever, and I want you to put my name in the comments so that potentially we can reach some of their viewers in the same way that you discovered me or found me or whatever, and we're building this community together. I would like to not only expand who I see, content from and who my community likes, but I would like also to expand to other people, those same peoples, and hopefully we could reciprocate. And it doesn't have to be somebody with 1 million subscribers or 100,000 or whatever. It could be somebody else just like me. It could be, your buddy's channel with 100, like whatever it is. I just want to find some quality content, and I want to find some quality people to add to our crew. So there we have it, guys. A little something different today. Please do your homework. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.